just blew me. Oh, I love it. I'm good at 69.
The monster of this.
I love
The monster balls. Remember the barbed wire?
69. To the back. To me back. No sense whatsoever.
A fine episode of TNA. And actually, another great example of Dave and I not agreeing. I sent him an email saying, a rare impact I did not hate. Mark it on your calendar. And he said, I did. Apparently he didn't like all of the Kurt Angle stuff on the show. There was a lot of Kurt Angle.
Usually there's, 8 Kurt Angle segments. This time there was probably closer to 15, but most of them were short.
There was no logic hole on the show that majorly offended me. I thought the pacing was a little bit better. And overall, I may think differently after I go through and recap this, but I just remember the show being over and I thought, that's actually a pretty damn good impact right there.
I definitely thought that one was over. There was some really good wrestling. And I can say nothing offensively stupid. There was enough of the usual TNA wackiness to make it TNA, but I go into this review thinking this was a thumbs-up show.
Junior Fatu is gone, quote, for unknown reasons.
I mentioned there was some TNA wackiness.
They couldn't even make something up.
No, they had who knows how many weeks in between tapings, and they could not take the time to think of a good reason for Fatu to be there. They couldn't.
How many weeks between tapings?
Well, I don't, the point being, it's not like he quit that day.
He did.
Well,
this was taped Monday.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
Still, it was not taped seconds before they filmed.
Listen, give me 10 seconds.
Yeah.
He was deported.
Christian's crew took him out.
That's right.
You don't need to say for unknown reasons.
He was on a boat and he was so fat it sunk. 100 things I could come up with.
He's at Carl's Jr.
That's right. He got a DUI. Anything. Make something up.
No, for unknown reasons. He's just gone.
Another segment with the Angles. Kurt and Karen came out with the belt. And we're talking about the mystery partner and that sort of thing. Angle and Nash still hate each other. It alternates every week. And I can only imagine what would happen if you missed a week of the show. You'd be so completely confused. So Nash, crowd chanted, we want Nash. I don't even know what's going on here. I don't have any memory of this
segment. There's a lot of stuff here. This review's off to a hell of a note after we talked about how great the show was. Okay. Point number 1. Kurt Angle comes out and says, this match is biased. It's 3-on-1 against me. He's got a point. This match is in fact biased against him. So that's number 1. The pay-per-view match. The tag match wherein whoever wins the fall gets the belt. So Kurt has to beat one of the other 2 men and also beat his own partner. So yes, the match is in fact biased against him, the champion. Point number 2. He at some point called Nash a cripple. Or a beatable cripple. Which begs the question, why did I have to watch a month of Kurt Angle begging Nash to be on his side to be there to save him?
And the beatable cripple beat him up last week.
And the beatable cripple beat him up last week, so shouldn't you be afraid of this cripple? Point number 3. Sting eventually came out. His music played, and he came out, and Sting stood on top of the ramp. At which point Don West noted, there's Sting! He's right there on top of the ramp! Thanks, Don. Thank you for pointing out what was clearly there on the monitor. This was a thumbs down segment. How's your eye?
Well, there was more, jackass.
There was more.
Sting came out, and Angle said by the end of the night he was going to find out who the partner was. Sting said, I'll give you a hint, he's been a world champion in many different organizations, including WWE and WCW. It was someone Kurt had worked with and rubbed the wrong way. Angle said it was bullshit, everybody loved him. Nash came out and said, I don't love you. I don't even like you. So he said Nash shouldn't worry about, or Angle shouldn't worry about who the partner was. He should worry about his own partner. So Angle challenged him to a fight. Nash sauntered down to the ring. Angle bailed. Sting jumped him on the ramp. They played ping pong. Crowd chanted TNA. I actually thought the segment was pretty good when I watched it. I don't remember a thing about it, so that kind of takes away from the goodness of it. But when it was over, I thought that was not horrible.
There was also the point here where Sting, he was talking about his partner, former WWE champion, former WCW champion. So after he gives this clue, Don West screams, That's a clue! Again, just saying whatever happens before him.
These announcers.
They've got to go.
They showed the fight for the right brackets, which I didn't even look at because I knew they would have made me angry.
This is the worst tournament ever.
Did myself a favor there. James Storm versus Kaz in a semi-final match. Kaz hit a big dive. Storm got the heat. Then Kaz did a reverse rolling cradle into a bridge for the pin. I don't want to complain about a clean finish. I really don't want to complain, but I'm going to complain. And I'm going to complain by saying, this is the fucking tournament to determine the number one contender for your world title, and the fucking semifinal match went 2 minutes?
Indeed.
What a shitty tournament this is.
Indeed, yes.
Who could fucking care?
This was not a 2-minute match. This was the last 2 minutes of a 12-minute match, and we missed the first 10 minutes.
Listen, you're going to give everybody a certain match on the pay-per-view. So the semifinals, which aren't going to be on the pay-per-view, should be pay-per-view quality and at that length to set up the finals. That's how it should be, so people care about this fucking tournament. Mm-hmm. Who could care about this tournament with Kaz beating James Storm in 2 minutes? Name a human on the earth that could possibly care.
Not me. Not me.
So then afterwards...
Eric Young came out, and he and James Storm had an impromptu drinking contest. They both like beer. That seems to be the extent of it. I guess they're going to be a tag team now.
They mutually respect each other's beer-drinking prowess. Storm actually bit the cap off his beer.
He's a man. Yes.
A man. Had an interview with Nash, taped earlier in the day. He said for some reason, people thought there was a relationship with him and Kurt. For some reason. What could that reason possibly be, aside from the fact that they're always teaming up together? He said he'd been champion God knows how many times. The match like this was second nature to him. He put some calls out to 2 people to find out who the mystery partner was, and neither had called him back yet. I presume one had to have been Dave. One should have been me, because I actually knew. Then Team 3D came out and buried the X Division.
And the fans.
Yep.
And us.
So the kids in the X Division were 100-pound little boys, flip-flopping and flying all over the place. Buried Shelley and Sabin. Claimed they spent an afternoon in the hotel with their mothers, which appalled Don West.
That's unnecessary, he said.
Cut a promo on star ratings, and Punk sitting at home on the internet. He should have cut a promo on people voting in the Hall of Fame. That would have actually made this the best.
Indeed.
So, he said everybody out there was little boys that couldn't hack it in the man's world of pro wrestling, which means he was talking to you, but not me. So the reason they were going to destroy the X Division was because they could. Machine guns came out. They got into a big argument back and forth. Alex Shelley got to talk, and I'll bet you anything there were people watching this show that went, "Holy Christ! Alex Shelley can cut a promo."
I know.
Because you never would have known from watching Impact. But he cut a hell of a promo, and Devon cut a hell of a promo, actually, as well. And anyway, it ended up in I guess it was a brawl, and Team 3D went to get tables, but there were no tables because the X Division had stolen them. And all the X Division guys hit the ring and beat up on the 2 heels.
Actually, it's even better than that. First, they stole their tables. Then, 3 of them, I believe it was Shark Boy, Sanjay, and P.D. Williams. That's 3 men jumping the Dudleys. That's 2 men. They jumped them and still got their asses kicked. And the other 6 men had to come make the save. So the X Division ran wild on the heels, 9-on-2.
Yep. All the little guys had to gang up and beat up on the big boys. You know, if TNA had any balls, which they don't, the machine guns would have ran down to the ring, and they would have flip-flopped and flew and sent Team 3D packing. That's how you do it.
You know,
That's the only way you do it.
If it had ended that way, I even would have been okay with the other 7 guys getting their asses kicked first.
I wouldn't have. You can't kill the division just to get over 2 guys.
It would have been better than this. Well, maybe not, but regardless, 9-on-2, not the best way to go.
No. This would have been so easy, but they're pussies. If you're listening right now, TNA, you guys are pussies. That's the answer. Whether it's Team 3D or whoever it was, whoever designed this segment, pussies. Should have been the 2 little guys sending the 2 big guys packing. That way people actually give a shit. I don't care who's cheering in the Impact Zone. And actually, if you listened, it didn't get nearly the reaction you would think because, well, it was 9-on-2.
You started to feel sorry for those big fat fellas.
Angle interrogated a bunch of guys backstage. One of them was Black Machismo, and as he was leaving, he bumped into SoCal Val, and they were smitten. So it looks like we're going to have a new Elizabeth. We had a skit with Hoyt, Jimmy Rave, and Christy Hemme that was so beyond wretched. I don't even know what to say.
I don't either. All I know is that my notes merely indicate that Lance Hoyt, Jimmy Rave, and Christy Hemme cut a promo, and they repeated this actually happened. And apparently it sucked. That's what I would imagine happening. I think my memory just blocked it out entirely. But I suspect that given that it's Lance Hoyt and Jimmy Rave and Christy Hemme, it probably sucked.
Christy Hemme would look so great with no clothes on.
Well, I can vouch for this.
However, when she's on this show, automatic channel changer. I have never seen a persona make a sexy girl look less sexy. She is just wretched on this program.
She comes off as being quite hateable, it's true.
Completely never want to see this woman again hateable. It's amazing. It's baffling to me that this can be done.
To put a point on that, seconds later, there was this really hot girl on TV, and I thought, holy crap, who was this? It was Christy's entrance video. She's hot and flirty there, and then she comes out and being evil and lame.
God, it's just horrible. So then she faced Awesome Kong. I could have sworn they said that she broke her back at the last pay-per-view. She's here 2 weeks later. Can't even hit the ropes. Kong killed her. Hit the sit-out power bomb. They should have had Rave and Hoyt run in, and Kong killed them as well.
She must kill Jimmy Rave at some point. Lance Hoyt is at least tall. That's one more thing he has than Jimmy has going for him. But I also like how, as his manager is getting killed by the terrifying Awesome Kong, Jimmy Rave is at ringside giggling.
This trio is just...
Thumbs down for this part.
No buys. That's what I have to say about this trio. No buys. Then we had the generic blonde chick, Crystal, interviewing Eric Young, who had listened at Sting's door and knew who the partner was, and he whispered it to her, and she got all excited. He told her to keep it a secret. Angle interrogated Robert Roode, who gave Angle advice about women. And really the key to all of these segments was Angle would get more into the non-Sting-related stuff than the Sting-related stuff.
Yeah.
So
these are supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Some of them were. Some of them were, I guess. But Robert Roode was actually great here giving Angle a pep talk on women.
Yeah.
Robert Roode's awesome.
Crystal interviewed Dustin. Not Black Rain, Dustin, the normal one. And then Abyss attacked him and beat him all over the place, and that was that. Angle was now interviewing Chris Harris, who now whines and bitches perpetually. So apparently Storm's turning babyface and Harris is turning heel. Who cares?
I just like that Harris had on paper a list of complaints about the show, and they were all valid. I'm tired.
Which makes him a heel.
Yes.
That's what's so great.
That makes him a heel. Oh, God.
What a stupid show. And this is a good one. Think about that, everybody.
This is the best Impact in a while.
This is a thumbs-up Impact. So after commercial, Kurt was interrogating BG, Kip, and the Voodoo Queen, which turned into an interrogation of Kurt, where BG asked if it had to do with his father, and then Kurt wept, saying his father never loved him. This was lame.
Let's do champion, everybody.
Then the blonde chick interviewed Christian, which was now the 6th straight interview segment in a row. This sucked. Christian wanted to know what was going on around here, so he can join the club.
He's established that it's utter chaos backstage.
Ran off trying to find AJ and Tomko. Then Crystal walked over to Nash, which was the 7th straight interview segment. He was on the phone screaming at somebody, and the show fell off a cliff at this point.
Actually, he was screaming at Pac. The only name he used was Pac.
Oh.
So you know who it was. I know who it was.
Sure, the guy from England.
Sure. I suspect people at home did not know who Pac was.
They didn't even get a full first name.
No, they could have called him Sean.
Robert Roode and Miss Brooks against Samoa Joe and Gail Kim. This was actually pretty fun. Miss Brooks actually was awesome this evening. I don't know what happened, but I thought, holy Christ, she's wrestling really well tonight. And Gail Kim's great, and Robert Roode and Samoa Joe are great, so they had a real fun little match, and Gail ended up hitting Tracy with a cradle out of the corner. And then Tracy began praying afterwards, knowing Roode was going to go nuts on her, and of course he did. So, who should make the save but Gail? Not Samoa Joe. He just stood out there and fucked around or something like that. So, Roode was, I guess, going to go after Gail or something like that when Joe finally ran in to make the save. And they cut the commercial. When they came back, Joe was caked in blood.
Mm-hmm. They
showed a drop toe into the steps. I don't know if he really hit it or he gigged or what the deal was, but he was bleeding everywhere. And then they had a replay during the commercial of something happening involving a girl they called Robert Roode's biggest fan. Apparently she's been on TV once or twice. Apparently they all know her in the Impact Zone, but I didn't have any idea what the fuck was going on here. Apparently it's rain.
The only reason I know about this is because I think I've seen her name mentioned in the spoilers.
That's right.
And I don't recall her being on TV before.
They mention her like she's been a regular on the show for 2 years.
She was on television for literally a second and a half as Joe just stared at her, and that was it.
A second and a half during commercial replay.
Yeah.
This another thing that TNA does that drives me crazy. Like, they live in a fucking bubble. I've said this before. Everybody wants to talk about me in a bubble. These fucking people live in a bubble. They live in the Impact Zone, and it's like, whatever happens in the Impact Zone, they think the entire rest of the wrestling world is like me and you and everybody else watching the show. They think that we're the same people that are in the Impact Zone every week and know who the fuck this Robert Roode's biggest fan is. They're always doing something that you would only understand if you were there every week. We watching on TV? No idea what's going on. No earthly idea. Not to mention the bullshit about always having to mention a guy's first name and not his last name. Funk. I remember Funk. Funk who? Dory Funk? Terry Funk? Dory Funk Sr.?
Flash Funk?
Flash Funk? What fucking funk are you talking about here? Robert Roode's biggest fan. How the fuck are we supposed to know who that is? Idiots.
I think it's almost like maybe we joke about, is anyone looking at the rating numbers? Is anyone looking at the pay-per-view numbers? Perhaps the answer is no. Perhaps the answer is they're only looking at what's in their eyes for them in front of the building, and they think everyone else is watching it the same way.
No, they're looking at the ratings and numbers, but they are still looking at the... I guarantee that the backstage at TNA, they think like this is WCW, and they're getting close. Not realizing the reality of the situation.
Which is that they're like WCW and getting close to dying.
You guys are like Thunder in 2000. Okay? That's not a compliment.
No.
This is not a compliment. Thunder 1999, not even a compliment there, Vince Russo. Morons. Then we had the Angel and Talia interrogation by Kurt, which involved... they said they knew the partner because Eric told them, and Borash gave him a hotel room key, and there were some knees to the balls. And the only funny thing about this was at the very end, Kurt said, "What did they say?" And Borash said, "Pain," because he'd been hitting his nuts. And Angle goes, "Pounds of pain?" That was funny.
I'm glad you liked it.
The rest of it sucked.
It sucked bad.
Christian and Chris Harrison, a semifinal match. This was actually a good semifinal. A lot of stuff. Christian tried to use a ladder, but the ref told him no, which was a novel concept. There were rules in TNA. Series of near falls, that sort of thing, and then Christian sat back and grabbed the ropes for the pin. Mike Tenay was like, well, yep, grab ropes for the pin.
Did not get outraged this week.
Shouldn't he be appalled? Shouldn't he be appalled in the semifinal match? It was blatant cheating here. Far more blatant than last week, in fact. No, didn't give a shit.
Apparently, it's only cheating in TNA if there's interference, if there's a run-in.
I'm really starting to hate this show. But I will say that this match...
This match was really, really good.
Yes.
And they didn't do any bullshit until the end. There was no constant interference, constant cheating, constant bullshit. It is Christian rolled up, reached back with the ropes, pinned him. That is still less bullshitty than a guy running in front of the ref or using a chair in front of the ref or whatever else TNA usually does. It honestly didn't bother me at all. So this was
it bothered me because of what they set up last week. In the universe of TNA, this should have caused Mike Tenay to blow a gasket.
He should have exploded.
Instead, he could care less.
Yeah. Also, has to be said, hypocritical though this may be, I'm afraid Chris Harris is getting fat. He's not as fat as me. He's fatter than he used to be. He's getting a little flabby.
Well, what can you do?
What can you do?
Drug testing. I don't know if that's why, but I don't know. That's usually why people end up getting flabby after being in great shape and not changing anything else in their lives. But there's no drugs in TNA, so of course that's not what the deal would be. But in other companies, such as WWE, which in fact had 2 recent drug test failures, that might be why. Nash was, Crystal interviewed Kevin, who asked him about the phone conversation, and he said, I don't know what he said.
Somewhere in here.
Then Angle was beating the shit out of Eric Young backstage. I've got all these names messed up, I'm noticing in this report, which should tell you how shitty the program was as far as getting things straight.
Yeah.
But he was beating up Eric Young, demanding to know who the partner was, and I think Young claimed Shockmaster. But anyway, Borash told Angle to stop because Young wasn't going to reveal it, so Angle just let him go.
He did. He let him go.
The one guy that actually knew, he just let go. Dave was right. You know, I was wrong.
On that note, at some point in here, they threw the brackets back up on the screen, the updated brackets.
I don't even want to know.
Now, for those of you who are not familiar with brackets, the way they work is there's two names, and those names meet at a point, and then the name of the winner goes on to the next line. There's a point on these brackets where the first name was Roode. The next name was Fatu, indicating they would have a match. And then on the third line at this point, where you would write the winner's name, it said Wildcat. This is the worst tournament ever. This annoyed me even more than out.
Thank God I didn't look at these brackets. I didn't even want to get mad about it. Black Rain cut a promo, and the announcers just looked at him like he was a madman.
I remember that. He's sitting there. We got a close-up of Black Rain's face. He's got that stupid, cheap Halloween wig on. He's got his makeup on. He's doing his growly voice, talking about terror and fear and pain, whatever else no one cares about. And then when it comes to a shot of Mike Tenay and Don West looking backwards over their shoulder, confused and annoyed. Just what is going on right now?
Apparently there's a Shop of Horrors match at the pay-per-view, which I hope involves a giant plant or the Vice that we saw last week. It's going to be one or the other. I think it's going to be in Woodshop. It is!
Have a shop match.
It is, because Abyss has Black Rain has a shop backstage.
He has his workshop.
And it's going to be a Shop of Horrors match.
I still like your first idea. This match involved A, giant man-eating plant, and B, doo-wop music.
Sure.
Make it happen, TNA.
Yeah, it won't. They'll do something dumb. They'll hit each other with wood.
There's something, Black Rain's something about a key here. Apparently that's important to something or other.
No one cares. TNA, if you're listening right now, nobody cares about the key.
Nobody cares about Black Rain's key.
Absolutely nobody. And there's nothing you can do that's going to make anybody care about Black Rain's key. So just stop. Just let him have a fucking match with a clean finish. Which brings us to the main event, AJ and Tomko versus LAX for the tag titles. AJ should not be a heel, but goddamn, he's a funny, cowardly heel. They had a pretty fun match, and broke down to a four-way. The ref didn't care. Tomko ended up killing Hernandez with a lariat. Then AJ hit a springboard 450 for the clean pin.
Yes.
By the heel tag team champs.
By the tag team champions, they defeated the challengers and retained the belts and looked good.
This made me happy.
This match was so much fun.
I was surprised they pinned Hernandez, but what can you do?
Well, I kind of got the impression that Hernandez was losing early on. He's one of those guys you can tell he's going to lose just by his tone. You can just tell, this guy's getting pinned tonight. That being said, he's enormous. He is so freakishly strong. He at one point hit the Alpha Bomb, which is Monty Brown's old finish, where you hold the guy like a body slam and throw him up and catch him to a power bomb. He did this in AJ Styles, and it looked like a feather. He's a beast of a man.
Yes.
AJ is great. Homicide's great. Tomko is vastly, vastly improved.
Yes.
This was so fun. And then the champions won clean, and that was it.
Yep.
No horseshit.
And, well, afterwards, they beat on the guys and hit their tornado plex finisher, and then one of the members of the Latino Nation, who was actually the Vampire's girl, hit the ring with a gimmick, allowing LAX to send the heels packing, and then out came the Steiners to beat on them as well. And the instant this brawl started, to the back!
To the back.
So you can't win all. But a good match, and a great finish. Then Kurt was backstage asking Karen if she'd been cheating on him. She said, of course not. Nash stormed in, said, listen, I know who the partner is. It's Scott. And even Angle was like, Scott! So Nash had to go, Scott Hall. Like we were all supposed to know, Scott. So Angle said, my God, can it get worse? And Nash said, yeah, he's going to be here next week, which, what a statement that is.
That's a great promo for next week's show.
And suddenly, to the back! Or actually to a post-show video package. And all things considered, I will give this episode a thumbs up. There was so much to hate, but compared to most weeks, there was nothing to hate.
There was significantly less to hate, a lot more to like. There were 4 matches in the show. 3 of them had clean as a sheet finishes, and the other had a cleaner finish than most TNA matches.
Yeah.
So thumbs up for TNA.
To the back! To the back! Makes no sense whatsoever.
TNA. So they teased that Scott Hall was going to be on the show, and of course he arrives immediately. So,
there's Scott Hall, everyone.
Way to build some tension or whatever. Apparently he drove himself.
And he was wearing an ICP shirt.
Shitty rental car. He got out of the car and he clapped his hands together as if to say, I'm back in the business. What a geek. Wait till he discovers he's in TNA. We had Christian and Kaz in a fight for the right match. The finals, actually. Christian came out with a ladder. They noted he wasn't even in the tournament when it started, and he was now in the finals. Welcome to TNA.
Good start, yes. So,
here's what I got to say about this match. I know that the TNA, we need a name for them, like the robots for ROH. We need something for TNA.
Somebody wants a TN alien.
No, it's very disrespectful aliens. TNA holes. That'll give me some heat, but anyway, I'm sure these people will be upset that I buried this match, because this match actually, for most of it, was great. But my God, did it ever suck at the end. So they had this great match. It was like Christian went out there and he was told, you need to make Kaz a star. And he did every fucking thing in his power to do it. Place was going nuts, chanting, this is awesome, this, that, and the other thing. So AJ Styles came out and Kaz dove onto him, and suddenly the match became stupid. AJ was in the ring, brawling with Kaz. This, of course, was not a DQ. Christian threw a ladder into the ring. Not a DQ. Now Tyson Tomko was out there as a distraction. Not a DQ. Christian finally kicked the ladder into his face and got the pin, and the crowd booed. Not in the manner like the heel one, but in the manner like, boy, you guys fucked up what should have been a great match. Kind of a groan. So Matt Morgan came out and said, well, Cornette was gone. He was in charge. Just in passing, like we're supposed to know that Cornette's gone. And he said he was throwing the match out, and at the pay-per-view it would be Christian versus Kaz in a ladder match. Why? I guess because a ladder had been involved here. So there will be two finals in this tournament involving the man who didn't even start in the tournament.
And this is the most fucked up brackets ever. We still don't know what ever happened to Out. Out is still in. All I can watch think, the first part of this, the match was great, but I thought, why would anyone care about Frankie Kazarian?
Well, I can't fault that, because every rising star is going to be in that position at some point, aren't they?
He's for the past. It could have been better than this, though. He could have had more wins going into this. In the past year,
wins in this tournament.
In the past year, he has
like that 3-minute match last week.
Exactly. Yes, he was in Raven's wacky deal, getting hit with a stick for a year or whatever it was. He broke free. I believe he won a match at the end of that feud, and then he qualified for the reverse battle royal to get into this, and then he beat Lance Hoyt and James Storm. Wow, passion. That's something to get behind. And then they had the match. The match was actually really awesome. They did a spot where like Frankie went for the flux capacitor and Christian bit him and shoved him off and went for the Christian jumped for the frog splash while Frankie was still in midair taking the bump. That was awesome. And then it was Bullshit City. It was welcome to TNA. It was 3 guys on a ladder. Woo!
The best and worst of TNA are right there. Another segment with the Angles. Kurt was yelling at Nash. They're apparently friends again, or at least in the same room.
Now it used to go segment to segment. Now within the same segment, they can't decide if they like each other or not. Make up your damn minds.
A lot of yelling at each other. Lots of Karen screaming. They all said they didn't know if Hall was in the building, even though we all saw him arrive. She said she'd go look for him. And then after she was gone, Kurt and Nash agreed they didn't know how Angle put up with her, and she's hot. She's looking for an answer, everybody.
The answer to the question, yes. I was watching this trying to figure out, why is everyone so afraid of Scott Hall?
Why are they so mad at each other?
Why are they so mad at each other?
Well, this actually makes sense, because the idea was that Scott Hall was going to be the mystery partner, and thus Nash was going to have to face his friend, and his friend might beat Angle for the belt.
Why would Kurt Angle be afraid of Scott Hall?
Well, we found out later when he manhandled him.
We'll get to that later.
So we had another segment. Oh, we already got to that. Christian was ranting and raving. Oh, God. It's amazing to me that this computer is new. It's so much more powerful than my old laptop. It has so many fucking stupid-ass issues. I'm ready to kill somebody. Anyway, where were we? What was I ranting about? Christian was... He was ranting and raving about something, and Christian's gimmick is he is a casual viewer of the show who has no fucking idea what's going on ever.
Indeed. His first question was, why is Matt Morgan in charge now?
No one knows.
Christian, that's a great question.
So the whole thing was they built to Tonka wanting to know who was number one guy when Christian was gone, and Christian said, when I'm gone, AJ's in charge. So AJ signed a match with himself and Scott Steiner later in an amateur takedown challenge. That excited me.
It did. I know you're passionate he should be a babyface. I think he's an awesome comedy heel. I love AJ.
And he is awesome, but he's selling no buys as a geeky heel.
Entirely possible, but he entertains me.
He entertains me, too. Yeah. I'm trying to think of ways for this company to make a little bit of money. And AJ Styles as a babyface fighting the heels would probably get people to buy their fucking pay-per-views. Him as the fucking geek and his wacky singlet from his community college.
Gainesville Vocational.
No buys.
So he got this promo about how he's not impressed with Scott Steiner's credentials and his resume as an All-American wrestler in Michigan. He says, I wrestled for Division III Gainesville Vocational. And it was awesome. It was funny. It was great. And then Don West says, basically, that's a total mismatch. Scott Steiner is way bigger than him. So, yes, Don West, once again, clueless.
Gail Kim and Alexa Jade. Match was fine by TNA women's standards. Probably went a little bit too long.
Hell of a lot better than Michelle McCool and Victoria.
Yeah. Crowd chanted, this is awesome. I have no idea why.
That was it. I think Gail actually started laughing at that point because they were like in a wrist lock.
Gail won with the Celtic Cross, and the Voodoo Queen came out and beat her up, and then Angel Williams, who I wrote Angle Williams as well. It's a giant fucking angle. Angel Williams came out and laid out the Queen, then ODB hit the ring and killed Angel. Nobody cared one bit about ODB. And then Gail ended up hitting her with a top rope drop kick. Everybody was laid out by somebody else. There's your pay-per-view four-way. No buys.
See, my standards for TNA are so low that when I end a match understanding what, at least people now know this is a four-way. These four women will be wrestling each other at the pay-per-view. That's half the battle. You've established this match. Telling people this match is going to happen. The next half is convincing them to care about it. That they have not won yet.
That to me, that's like the whole deal. I mean, okay, Liddell and Couture. Or we've got, let me think of a big show in the last year. Let's just take the
Liddell Rampage.
Let's take Liddell Rampage, since it's about 1 million buys. Name one other fight on the undercard.
Forrest beat somebody.
Way to go! Name two.
Yeah.
Okay, because it doesn't fucking matter! Okay? It doesn't matter that we know these four girls are fighting on the pay-per-view. It doesn't matter one fucking bit. They did it fine. I mean, nothing wrong with it, but it's not like it's needed. I mean, this was a needless, pointless segment at the end there. And I'm ranting about nothing in particular here. Karen was outside Scott's dressing room, tried to seduce him, much like she did with Kevin Nash, I believe, last week. He blew her off in the exact same way and called her a rat.
And he buried the pro wrestling industry. Established that you can't trust anyone, they're all liars. You can't trust wrestlers, you can't trust promoters, you can't trust the fans, you can't trust rats.
The Office.
The Office.
You didn't mention the fans. You can trust the fans. So we had Karen going into the men's room, and by the time the show ended, we
still don't know why.
Never found out why. She was taking care of business. All right. Team 3D and Jay Lethal, or Team 3D versus Jay Lethal and Abyss. I have no idea why Abyss was teaming with Jay Lethal.
First time I asked why in this match.
So then Matt Morgan came out with papers to announce Jay Lethal versus Sanjay Dutt in a no-buys match at the pay-per-view.
The second time I wrote down the word why with a question mark.
So we have some good teamwork by the babyfaces early, and then Bubba crotched Lethal on the post, worked him over. Some pretty good stuff, I guess. And Abyss made that tag, four-way, and then Black Rain ran out and attacked Abyss. We got that groan from the fans again.
Yep, here we go again.
Is now becoming a regular here on this show.
There's a drop we need, by the way. Fans dying.
Yep. So Lethal was left alone with both Dudleys and, of course, 8 and 3D for the pin. And the bad guys went to whip him with the belt afterwards. And who should run out to make the save but the Motor City Machine Guns, who actually, I swear to God, sent Team 3D packing. By themselves!
Huzzah! Yes! TNA does something right!
I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, if you're willing to do this, why the fuck didn't you do this last week?
Maybe it didn't occur to them 2 hours prior.
I just don't understand this company. I mean, the fact that they did this means, okay, we know this is what we need to do. So why did they have to do all this other bullshit with the X Division that did nothing but hurt the X Division? I don't even understand it.
Because they're retarded.
Baffles me. Karen met with Kurt. She had a plan. Borash revealed she'd been in the men's room, so she kicked him out, and Angle freaked out. And again, when the show was over, I have no idea.
By this point, these people were highly on my nerves, and I couldn't help but ask, once again, why would anyone watch this?
Well, more people watched it than last week. Angle came down to the ring, called out Hall, no Hall, so Angle went to find him. Why he didn't do this in the first place, I got no idea. So, stormed around backstage, looking for him, and it was at this point that I wish I just had a hotline at TNA, where I could just call guys and tell them what to do. Like, look at his dressing room, ass. So that's where he finally goes, and lo and behold, there's Scott Hall. Scott Hall then proceeds to throw him up against a wall and put him in a hold of which the world champion cannot escape. And the
gold medalist cannot escape.
Boots him out of the room like a jackass.
That's your world champion, folks. Losing to the guy who's been drunk out of wrestling for like 6 years now.
Just manhandled the world champion like a child.
Like a chump. That Kurt is a goober.
This is a good TNA, everybody, by the way. This is what we consider a good show. So Steiner cut a promo talking about he was All-American and AJ was a male cheerleader. Crystal said she was a cheerleader, so Steiner told her to shut up and called her a skank. Lovely show here. Then he claimed he fucked AJ's wife, all the while a cross hanging from his goatee. This is the wrestling business, kids. This is the wrestling business. Then we had AJ versus Scott in the takedown challenge. AJ had his Gainesville vocational jersey, ear protectors. It was awesome. They actually took the ring ropes off and blew whistle. It had a 5-minute time limit. Most takedowns won. AJ threw powder in his eyes in this amateur challenge. This was so awesome. This was everything that was wonderful about professional wrestling. Scored 3 takedowns in a row, and then Scott, of course, cleared his eyes and scored 4 straight.
Humbled him.
And then, of course, Tomko ran in for a DQ in an amateur challenge. Scott Steiner could not just beat the man from Gainesville Vocational. They had to do a disqualification when it was 4-3. The crowd groaned again.
And then Rick came out.
This is a good show.
This is a good show. Although, you know what? In hindsight, I'm wondering why. What do we like about this? The really good Christian match.
Because I'm comparing this to that Impact from 3 weeks ago, which was the worst show I've ever seen.
This was better than that.
This was better than that. This is like, it's better to have your legs chopped off than to be beheaded. That's what this is.
It is. Can't argue with that logic. It is, in fact, better than that. But, yeah, AJ is so awesome. And Scott was just, being Scott Steiner, completely schooling him early. And AJ cheated in the amateur match. That is, in fact, great. And once Scott, he stepped out of the ring, which was not a DQ, and then he cleared his eyes, and everyone knew AJ's fucked. And indeed, AJ was fucked, and it was awesome. And Scott could not win. And I'm repeating everything you said because I have nothing to add. I have nothing of value to add to this show.
Seriously, now, come on.
No, even less than usual.
We had more with the angles. Dumb. Hall,
I'm so sick of the angles.
Hall came out of Sting's dressing room and marked out. Then we had Angle, Robert Roode, and James Storm versus Sting, Samoa Joe, and Eric Young. 25 minutes TV time left. Actually had a pretty good match, as you would expect in a 6-way like this. Angle hit the Olympic slam on Sting. Eric laid him out. Storm and Sting ended up in the ring together, and Storm went for a super kick, but Sting grabbed his leg, put him in the death, the Scorpion for the submission. Actually put him in the death drop for the pin. Don't know how that works. And then, pretty fun main event, and we got a clean finish. That was newsworthy.
It was really fun. They're still being TNA. They have to annoy me. Early in this match, Eric Young threw Kurt Angle out of the ring. That's not what annoyed me. Eric Young pulled a phone book out from under the ring and beat Kurt Angle up with it. This is not a DQ. Second of all, I couldn't figure out why. And finally the announcer said, Angle hit Eric with a phone book last week. Okay. I had forgotten. I had totally forgotten about this phone book beating, but apparently he did. Annoying thing number 2 was...
You're missing the biggest issue of all.
Which is?
Why was there a phone book under the ring?
That is a third issue. Why is there a phone book under this TNA Pro Wrestling ring?
Nobody thinks in this company is the answer.
Yes, so, number 2, I believe it was exactly during the comeback when there were 6 guys flying around all over the place. The camera went to Robert Roode's fan, the mysterious blonde fan of Robert Roode. This woman was on screen for about 0.6 seconds and they cut away. What the hell was the point of that?
Well, it's a slow build.
If you pause this is about 3 frames of television this woman was on TV.
It's very slow build.
Oh, that drove me nuts. But the wrestling was awesome. So this is the other reason we like this show. There were 2 good matches on here, and one had a clean finish. Hooray!
So Nash came down to the ring and called out Hall, who got a big pop. The first 30 seconds of this interview was the worst of TNA, as we've said several times on the show, with Mike Tenay alerting us to every single solitary thing that was happening. Hall said, "Hey, yo," and Tenay had to alert us that this was his catchphrase.
Check.
We had, I didn't even write them down.
I actually did write this down. Hall said, "Hey, yo." Tenay said, "That is his catchphrase." Kevin Nash smiled. Tenay said, "Kevin Nash is smiling." The fans began to clap. Tenay said, "The fans are applauding." I hate this fucker. I hate Mike Tenay. I didn't used to. Now I hate him.
I don't know if they cut him off or someone told him to shut the fuck up, but shortly thereafter he stopped talking through this entire thing. But
vast improvement.
Initially this was horrible. So actually there was Don later on when Nash. This is classic. They have this big talk about this and that and the other thing, and anyway, it culminates with Scott Hall after 2 full hours of teasing and all of this teasing that they'd done about the mystery partner. Hall just says, "I ain't Sting's partner, never have been, never will be." They hugged, and Don West said, and I quote, "What the hell is going on?" It is a beautiful question.
What the hell is going on?
What the hell is going on? You spent 2 hours building up Scott Hall as the mystery partner, and in the end, he's not. And this is the final go-home show before your pay-per-view.
And then it actually got better. Sting's Angle came out. He also asked what the hell is going on. He pointed out that he had a tag team partner who wanted to kill him, and an opponent who wanted to kill him, and a mystery partner he didn't know. And this is my favorite part. Sting's music hit. Sting walked out on the stage. And then the show ended.
It gets better. Sting walks out on the stage, they cut to him, and literally within a half a second of Sting appearing, Don screams, "Sting's not talking!"
So yes, apparently Sting decided, I will have them play my music on my light show, I will go stand on the ramp, and I will stand there. That's my plan. And yes, as Don West, being a TNA announcer, he must describe what is happening before him in intricate detail.
The best part was that somehow he knew Sting was not talking the instant Sting appeared. Yeah. Sting hadn't even had a chance to talk. Sting's not talking. And then to the back for the video package. No one is buying Genesis. Not a single person.
Why the fuck would you?
This show may do 0 buys, actually.
I said that like 2 years ago.
We'll get 1 because we got to buy it, but no one's buying the show. And it's sad because I was running down the card in today's Figure 4 Daily, and it's going to be a good show.
I know. It's the same thing, too. Like, Dave put it up. I'm looking at it. That should be good. That should be good.
Yep.
That should be good. That could be real good. Yeah, that's the whole show, and no one cares.
TNA is going to have a really good pay-per-view on Sunday, and no one's going to buy it. Why? Because Impact, even on this, a pretty good week by TNA standards, it's the worst show there's ever been.
Plus SmackDown is worse.
Well,
this week, SmackDown's worse.
I'm just going to say something here very quickly. It's anyone from TNA listening, this is just a friendly tip. A wrestling television show is an infomercial. That's what it is. Unless the network is paying you $20 million a quarter in rights fees, which they're not, your show is an infomercial. Because I guarantee, actually you probably are making more in rights fees than you are on pay-per-view buy rates, because no one's fucking buying your pay-per-views. But if you were doing 100,000 buys, if you were doing 50,000 buys every single month, you'd have some money. You'd be making some big money. Your TV show should be an infomercial. Your TV show should be designed to sell that pay-per-view. Impact is not an infomercial. I have no idea what Impact is. I have no earthly idea what it is except content for Spike TV. If you're happy making your rights fee for that show and making no extra money on pay-per-views, then keep putting this shit out. But if you actually want to make a little bit of money, if you actually want to try to increase the revenue for TNA, then think of Impact as an infomercial. Not a fucking whatever this fucking show is. This is like the variety show at Granny's old folks' home.
I would so much rather watch the old dude play harmonica.
Good God almighty. So anyway, that's TNA, everybody.
To the back! To the back! Makes no sense whatsoever.
Hopefully I've got the energy to make it through this Genesis review. I've been dieting very strenuously.
It is the Death Tour time.
It is the Death Tour, and I'm up to 45 minutes of cardio first thing in the morning and 45 minutes after my workout. So that's 2 per day.
Now, what are you doing for cardio?
I go on the elliptical machine for 45 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I'm...
you like that better than, for example, running hills?
Fuck no, I'm not running hills anymore. I'm burning almost 1,000 calories every day.
That's a lot.
And not eating a whole lot, so...
for a guy your size, that's a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah. So I'm going to be, if nothing else, I will be in shape for the Death Tour. And then I plan on getting very, very fat over the holiday. So anyway, hopefully I can make it through this update. I've been slowly crashing the last couple of days, so if I've yelled at anybody on the board or anything of that nature, I apologize. But
I think it'd be more if you fail to yell at somebody on the board.
If I yelled at Hannibal... You have no idea what I'm talking about, Vince.
No, not a clue.
But many people on the board know very well who I'm talking about. We've got a fucking great caller on Observer Live, Hannibal. And all I know is that after Hannibal's call, I was in such a fabulous mood for like an hour afterwards. It was so great. And hopefully he'll be a regular. So, Hannibal, if you're listening right now, fine job, my friend. Fine job.
I don't want to get into this because we'll be here all night, but yesterday, as I explained to you, I was inexplicably, I was just in a bad mood all day, crabby and cranky and hating the world, and I'm sitting there at home, and my phone rings, and it was young Brent Kremen.
Yeah.
Brent wants to come back on the show. He hasn't been on in a long time. He missed me, basically. We talked about Vince McMahon and steroids and Republicans and propaganda, and after this little 10-minute discussion, I was so happy. Brent Kremen cheered me up, and I felt bad for all the times I've been mean to him.
Well, that's good.
So we have to have Brent on the show again sometime.
We were actually going to have him on tonight, but he got bumped by Mike Coughlin. I know that's...
Well, he should be.
Hard to believe.
But someday we'll have him on again.
I actually thought... I didn't know where Brent was. I thought he was living in California with some girl he met on JDate, which is the Jewish dating service. But turns out that went horribly awry, and he's actually living where he's always lived in Seattle. And we just haven't seen him.
Same apartment?
Yeah, same exact place. So... We'll have him on the show and catch up with Brent, see what happened to the girl. He said it was a sad story, so...
That can't be.
I can't wait for that. All right, let's get on to TNA. We had Black and Abyss in a Black Rain Shop of Horrors match.
No giant plant.
No, this was the opener. Or Rick Moranis.
Or Steve Martin as an evil dentist.
I thought that...
We should watch that movie again.
I thought Rick Moranis might be the mystery partner since they couldn't get Arquette. That would have been money right there, but... So, yeah, they had this match, and it was just shit. I mean, this was the opener, and we had crowd brawling, we had hitting each other with stuff, plastic boards, cans, crutches, fighting in the crowd. It built up to a spot, which no one will believe me when I tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There was a board with mousetraps on it.
Right.
I swear to God.
A large black square, maybe a yard on each side, with about, 2 or 3 dozen mousetraps set up on it.
When I say there was a board with mousetraps on it, I know that there are people now thinking that I'm joking. That this is one of our wacky ideas, like digging a hole and putting sticks on it, or a rope hanging from a tree that someone's foot gets caught in. No, there was a board with mousetraps on it. It gets better. Abyss tried to take, what's his name, Black Rain's rat, Misty, or whatever its name is, and choke slam it into the mousetraps.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes. He held the rat, mind you, by the neck, high above his head, and asked the fans, should I? Should I
choke slam this mouse into these mousetraps? Well, he didn't. The mouse ended up going down the shirt of Jim Mitchell, and then Abyss went face first in the mousetrap, and then there were brass knucks, and then there was kendo sticks and some other shit, and then finally Abyss hit the black hole slam for the clean pin in a wrestling move.
He used a wrestling move in this match with trash cans and choke slams off the stage and mouse traps and a mouse and Jim Mitchell. Yes.
This was so wonderfully stupid.
You when this started, you merely mentioned I heard this was hideous. So I sat back to watch, and for the first half, it was just every other hardcore match ever, which is not good. It's certainly not good for the opener, but it wasn't what I would call hideous. And then, first of all, the mousetraps. The fact that someone had to take the time to go out and buy 3 dozen mousetraps, set them up, glue them onto a board, put handles on the board, and then have that at ringside, just in case, ready to go. So Abyss grabs that to set the ring. That's a retarded thing. Then Abyss, the vice. Black Rain's vice is at ringside, and Abyss decides, I'm going to put Black Rain's hands into this vice. So he takes Black Rain's hands, puts them both together, and grabs them in one of his own hands. Places them between the prongs of the vice, and then tightens it with his other hand. Black Rain cannot break free. He cannot fight back. He cannot kick anything. He's trapped. Until finally his hands get in there.
He can't even use his other hand?
Well, no. Abyss had both of his hands.
He couldn't use his knee?
No, exactly, yes. He couldn't use his head. He couldn't headbutt Abyss. There was nothing he could do but sit there.
Headbutt Abyss, headbutt the thing that's closing the fucking clamp.
There's a million things he could do, but no. He had to sit there and pretend to struggle as his hands were slowly squeezing the vice and then give out a fake scream. So then there was the bullshit with the mouse. Abyss is holding the mouse high over his head, asking, should I kill this animal live here on pay-per-view? And I'm thinking, boy, I hope Pete's watching. Mitchell ran in, frantically saying, no, don't kill the mouse. So Abyss put the mouse down Mitchell's shirt. Mitchell screamed like he was, being eaten alive. Which I don't think was happening. I think the mouse was probably more scared than he was, and nothing happened. This is all so retarded. And then it kept going, and there was stick shots.
Have you ever used a mousetrap?
Personally, no.
Have you ever seen a mousetrap in action?
I've seen them set.
It's not like a mousetrap's going to cut a finger off, okay?
I'd imagine not.
A mousetrap is used to break the neck of a mouse, okay?
Right, yes.
What danger does this provide for a human?
I'm sure it's not pleasant, but compared to the...
Pleasant, he got his head put in it. What did it hook on, his nose? What did the mousetrap possibly get on Abyss?
It broke the skin on his forearms, which he put down to break the fall. Now, considering this is a guy who I've seen on multiple occasions slice open his arm with a razor blade, I don't care.
I find it impossible to believe that it actually split open his arm.
He was bleeding from his forearm at one point. I assume it was with the mousetraps.
I presume he gigged, or it was something else.
Regardless, this all sucked. Sucked, and the pay-per-view was off to a quite dour note.
I can't even rate this. It was so dumb. And then there was a door with a key.
That's right, the door.
And Black Rain had a key around his neck, and so after Abyss beat him, he took the key, he went and opened up the door. Inside was Johnny the Bull, dressed up like Gronda. He beat up Abyss, left him laying, and then they put Abyss in the box, and they shoved the box off the ramp. The box fell down and smashed on the cement, seemingly killing Abyss. And within, I swear to God, 5 seconds, we heard, to the back! And
for the rest of the show, the next 2.5 hours, no one ever checked on Abyss or told us how he was. Apparently,
never heard about it again.
Apparently, the box just laid there for 2.5 hours with Abyss inside, dead.
Yeah.
So this brings the question: if you're a Black Rain, you have your big scary friend who wants to beat up Abyss too. Why lock him in the door? Why lock him in the box? Let him free. It's an ODQ match.
This was so stupid.
This all sucked.
Well, he did try and let him free.
Why was he locked in the first place?
Well, I don't know, but he tried to free him.
He did at one point try to unlock the door, but why did he lock it in the first place?
So he couldn't get out. Why are you asking this question? This is the least stupid thing in this match.
It's one of the many stupid things.
Why was there a board made of mousetraps?
I feel I need to catalog all the stupidity on the show.
Do I have to add that the man who got the board filled with mousetraps was Black Rain, who has a mouse?
I don't know what they were doing there. Abyss put them into the ring.
Ridiculous. I don't even know if... Maybe it was Abyss. Anyway. Oh, God. Then we had the Motor City Machine Guns and Team 3D, who had an awesome match. It was so old school. The good guys ran wild forever early. The bad guys cut them off. The good guys got a hot tag. They did a million great near falls. And then finally, in the end, they hit Bubba Ray Dudley. Not Devon. Bubba Ray Dudley with the double enziguri and pinned him clean. Sweet God, this was great.
This was great. The best part about this was, unlike almost every TNA match ever, this was not rushed. They did not do a 12-minute match in 8 minutes. They did a, 9-minute match in 9 minutes. It was just everyone. You didn't feel like you were on a roller coaster with this. You felt like you could sit back and watch it and enjoy, and that's good. And the finish in particular was awesome. There was a table in the ring, which of course was not a DQ, although the way it worked out, I guess I'm fine with that.
I'll tell you why. I figured this out a long time ago.
Okay.
Every wrestler in TNA has their own rules. Seriously. Abyss can use all sorts of weapons. The Dudleys can use tables. Sting can use a bat. Everybody's got their own little set of special rules.
Everyone's allowed to use their own gimmick, basically.
Angle can have his wife interfere and run in. All sorts of things.
Christian can have his friends come out.
Sure.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? There's not a kind of consistency to that logic.
Yes.
Regardless, they set up the table in the corner. I went to whip Sabin into it. Sabin ran up the table and did a flip. That was awesome. And then Devon ended up going through it, and they took him out. And then, as you noted, they kicked Young Bubba to death and pinned him. And, this was really good. and it's kind of amazing that someone out there remembers how tag team wrestling is supposed to go.
So this, again, was the best and worst of TNA because we had an awesome match with a clean finish, with the baby faces going over, the young baby faces going over the veteran heels. It was so wonderful. And then within literally 5 seconds of the good guys getting this big, dramatic, awesome win, to the back!
To the fucking back.
And what did we go to the back for?
We
went to the back.
Angles.
Kurt, Karen, Nash, Borash. Everybody was screaming at each other. Everybody hates each other. It was pure shit.
Kurt Angle, the man who doesn't like UFC because their fighters swear, was using the word asshole repentantly.
Yes.
Or repeatedly.
Horrible.
This segment sucked.
So anyway, this was quite horrible, and again, we've mentioned it many times. It's beating a dead horse, but how are we supposed to care about any of this stuff?
I do, in the sense that I'd want to turn the channel when they're on television.
But how are we supposed to care about the Machine Guns getting a big win if they care so little that they immediately cut to the backstage?
Well,
I mean, there was even many times now I've made comments about something that happened in TNA that I've forgotten. It was a clean pin. When I was talking about the last clean pin in a world title match was the last clean finish. You had to go all the way back to Christian and Monty Brown, and someone was like, actually,
it was months ago.
Angle tapped out Abyss, and it was like, I totally forgot. And when I remembered back, I remembered why I forgot was because within seconds of that, they cut away.
The camera missed it, and then they cut away to a wacky angle, yes.
I still remember that match with the Hardys where they beat, I think it was the Rednecks or somebody, and the point is, I remember that the Hardys celebrated for like 8 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was so great, because it was like, they won, let's celebrate with them for a while. And TNA were never allowed to have any fun. Never.
That's right. There's work to do.
Whenever something wonderful happens, we immediately have to cut to the back for pain, which in this case was just an argument and a lot of yelling and ear-splitting screaming. Bullshit. TNA, knock it the fuck off. Gail Kim and ODB and Voodoo Queen and Angel Williams for the women's title. Classic match where I was scared to death for everybody involved. They did way too many spots. There were bodies everywhere. There were people falling over each other. They did things that, X Division guys who've been working for years can pull off the stacked up superplex. The girls goddamn near killed each other. Ended up with everyone hitting a big spot. Roxy blinded ODB, and then Gail stole the pin. And after the match, this is the only good thing. Awesome Kong came out. She didn't run in. She just came out on the ramp. She pointed at Gail. She made the sign of the belt. I want your title. That was that.
It was a clusterfuck of a match, really. They were falling over each other a lot. That Tower of Doom spot in the corner was absolutely terrifying. I was certain someone had died. And then there was just a point in this match where the Voodoo Queen was just being the Voodoo Queen. She was being all voodoo-y and gyrating and twisting, and ODB responded by getting her face and doing whatever it is that she does, screaming and pumping her fist, and I thought, Jesus Christ, what is this? Why am I watching it? Why is this something people have paid to watch? And then it got back into just being a clusterfuck of a wrestling match, and thankfully Gail won. It would have been ridiculous for her to lose, obviously, for about 1,000 reasons. And then, as noted, Awesome Kong came out, and so you had Gail, the women's champion, who had just beaten 3 women, against Awesome Kong, the monster who never loses. And so that's good stuff. I am left wondering why Awesome Kong was not in this match.
Well, because they're trying to save her and Gail.
From that standpoint, I understand it. From the logical standpoint, you would think...
Logical standpoint, it makes no sense.
Okay.
Black Machismo and Sanjay Dutt for the X title. This had no heat. There were a couple of spots where the people got into it, but overall, no heat. And somebody pointed out it was a babyface match, so why should there be heat? And then I sort of thought, Was it a babyface match? I have no idea what Sanjay Dutt is. He may as well be a heel. He worked as a heel. So anyway, they did a bunch of, literally every single move in the world, I think, occurred during this match. Fans got into it to the point where they chanted, "Let's go Randy" for Black Machismo. He ended up making the big comeback in the lethal combination, the flying elbow for the pin. It was a good match, maybe 3 1/4. I'm sure it had the potential to be better, but it was just too much of a spot fest. And they shook hands afterwards, and Lethal invited SoCal Val into the ring because she's the new Elizabeth. And, of course, out came the Dudleys, and they destroyed the good guys. Actually, let Val go. So I guess they're teasing putting her through the table at some point. And so
they took the X Division belt hostage.
Yeah, they cut a promo basically saying that Shelley and Sabin had cheated, which was awesome. That was an awesome line. Great heel promo. And he said because of that, the entire X Division was going to die, and they were taking the belt hostage, which Mike Tenay was appalled by, as he is wont to be. And
that random points.
That was that.
You mentioned that the match had no heat. I don't think that's quite accurate. The match had heat at the beginning, and then the longer they went, the crowd got quieter and quieter and quieter. And then finally, Jay Lethal had this giant, huge tope, and they roared briefly, and then it was like, well, we have now seen every move possible. We don't care anymore. And they just died. It was flat, and they kept going, and it was just, it got numb after a while. They worked hard, and it was, everything was executed well, and Sanjay Dutt's a phenomenal athlete who can do some amazing things, but they did too much stuff in this match.
And then we had AJ and Tomko versus the Steiners.
Actually, you're overskipping something briefly.
No, I'm not.
All right.
AJ and Tomko versus the Steiners for the TNA tag team titles. We had Scott and AJ working together for a while. And to make a long story short, Rick was horrible this evening. Just wretched. And Tomko, who has improved dramatically over the last year or so, had a very bad night. So it was all AJ and Scott, and they could not save this match. And this was another one where, like, the last 5 minutes of this match was just such an utter disaster. Rick was blown up. It was a 4-way. Tomko broke up a bulldog. Scott went after him. The ref took a bump outside. AJ hit a chair shot, all sorts of stuff, and finally hit Rick right in the head with an unprotected chair shot to the brain, which, ironically, this took place exactly opposite the CNN special. What a coincidence.
Wow.
So, a complete mess. I gave it a star. And, what can you do?
I don't know. I gave up on this match halfway through when they got the heat on Scott Steiner for the second time, and they got the heat on him via a powerbomb top rope splash combo move. Now, powerbomb is a finisher. Top rope splash, that's a finisher. A powerbomb splash combo is a hell of a finisher, and they used it to get the heat.
And they finished with one chair shot to the head.
Yes, and I decided this match makes no sense. I have given up on it. So everything I know there was a bunch of stuff that went on later. There were some suplexes and chair shots and bullshit involving the ref, and I just didn't care.
Robert Roode and Samoa Joe had a great match. 3 1/4, I'd probably say. They worked very, very hard. We talked about the thing with Tracy. They're really playing up Rude's biggest fan, who is Rain from Shimmer. And Tracy hates Rude, but she hates Rain more because Rain wants Rude.
That irritated me.
Whatever. What can you do? So, I guess early on, Joe was running around the ring and tripped and fell down, and thank God he didn't blow out his back or his bad knee, and they got the heat on him for a while. And Robert Roode, for those of you that don't watch TNA, Robert Roode's really good. I just want y'all to know that.
Indeed.
He's a great heel, and he's a great worker. And Joe, of course, everybody knows he's good. So they worked very well together. There was the issue with Tracy, which I think at the time I thought this was just stupid booking on TNA's part, but as it turns out, everybody just seemed to know at ringside that this was real, because when she went down, I mean, they lost the crowd. The crowd was all looking over to see if Tracy was alive. And the guys kept working, but it was tough at this point. So eventually, Rude went for the fisherman suplex, glanced over at Tracy and sort of blew her off, and then went for the move. And Joe dead weighted him, hoisted him up on the top rope, hit the big kick and the muscle buster for the pin, and of course, immediately to the back.
You can always tell when a good match happens because I don't write many notes about it. And if a bad match is happening, I'll write down what's going on. If it's a good match, I don't write anything because I don't want to miss anything, so I just watch. I wrote down almost nothing about this. And everything I did write was mostly about Miss Brooks. So that tells you it was good. And like you say, Robert Roode, for those of you who don't watch TNA, you're missing out. He is worth paying money to see. Joe's worth paying money to see. It seemed kind of flat looking back. That was probably all because of the Tracy incident. But I want to see the fight again. And that's good.
And we had a awesome match. Christian and Kaz. It was a ladder match for the number 1 contendership. It was completely insane. There was stuff that I found to be too dangerous. Like, there was one spot where they put the ladder between the ring apron and the barricade to make a bridge, and Kaz was on it, and Sting came off the top with a frog splash, and I think the ladder was supposed to break. I don't know what was supposed to happen, but it didn't, and we nearly had a death. Another spot where Christian was just holding the ladder in cross-body position, and Kaz came off the ropes with a springboard to the outside and wiped him out, and they just landed in a heap, and there were bodies all tangled up in the ladder, and Christian got cut hard way above and below the eye, and it just looked gross. And sometimes you just got to say no to certain spots. And they did everything under the sun, teeter-totter spots. They threw the ladder at each other. They jumped off the ladder. They fell off the ladder, this and that. And ended with Tomko and AJ coming out. And I should note that the place was just going apeshit for this entire match. And AJ and Tomko came out, and they were arguing outside the ring, and Christian and Kaz were both on a ladder. And the ladder tipped over, and Christian fell to the outside onto his friends. And as the ladder was falling over, Kaz actually reached his foot out and ended up standing on the top rope. And the ladder was still leading on the top rope, so he sprung off the ropes and rode the ladder back up to a standing position, and then climbed up and got the contract, and awesome finish. Easily a 4-star match, maybe 4 1/4, and Kaz won! Kaz is the number 1 contender to the TNA championship. I don't expect that to last.
I don't expect him to win.
I don't expect Kaz to main event the next pay-per-view against Kurt Angle. I expect something involving Christian to happen on Impact, and Christian will win the shot back or whatever, but for this night, it was really cool. Kaz got the big win, and everybody went absolutely nuts, and hell of a match.
Christian's the guy who went through the TLC wars and WWE at WrestleManias and SummerSlams, and then he was done. We all thought he was just walking away from wrestling for a while, and then he got an offer from TNA, and things worked out for him. He took that offer, but I didn't think he'd ever do stuff like this again. And apparently he decided, I'm going to. I'm going to have a brutal, violent match. I'm going to go through pain, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to put Kaz over in the end. So, thumbs up for Christian for that. That spot where Kaz was bridging the ladder and Christian hit the splash was so brutal. The ladder actually bent for a fraction of a second and immediately snapped back into place. And if you think about the force it takes, to bend the ladder and then for the ladder itself to bounce back with the same force, that had to just absolutely suck for young Frankie Kazarian. There were some stupid spots in this match where the ladder was set up to do spots, but guys had to pretend they were setting up the ladder to get the contract. The worst of it was Frankie Kazarian set up the ladder in the ropes. The bottom, one pair of legs was actually going outside the ring on the apron. And then he climbs up this ladder and then had to try and reach for the contract about 9 feet away. And that made him look dumb. And the spot was, well, since I'm up here, I guess I'll hit a leg drop. So that annoyed me. That being said, they did work their ass off. They did kill each other. And the finish was phenomenal. The finish was something that you would think, maybe we could try it, but it's not going to work. And they made it work. And I don't want to say it saved the match, but it made the match a lot better. And this was indeed a hearty thumbs up.
The thing that annoyed me was, right as he's about to ride the ladder back up to a standing position, they had to cut to the guys outside, and I thought, if you miss this spot, if you miss this fucking spot, you should just be strung up.
Well, they didn't miss it, kind of, because Christian and Kaz were on the ladder teeters over. Kaz balances on the rope, but Christian falls to the floor. So the camera's following both men. Kaz stops, Christian keeps going, and the camera keeps going with Christian. So we're left assuming Kaz is balanced on the ropes, which he did, but again, TNA, your production sucks.
Yeah. The pay-per-view would have ended up here. It would have been an easy 2 thumbs up just because of that match if that had been the main event. But no. Oh, no. We had the Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash versus Sting in the Mystery Man match. Mystery Man was, of course, Booker T. And
holy shit.
To set up his debut, they turned the lights down. They played very dramatic music for about 2 straight minutes, I guess to make us wait. And, of course, during this 2-minute period, there was not a single second where Mike Tenay and Don West were not talking. And they talked and talked and talked and talked. And it wasn't like for 2 minutes they had 2 minutes worth of stuff to say. They kept repeating over and over the same shit for 2 minutes. I was ready to strangle somebody.
It started off grating. Then it was infuriating. then it was repressed, and then it got comical. They so butchered this big debut. I mean, you could tell in the arena, like you say, it was dark. The only thing on the screen was the Genesis logo, and there was just this music that was almost more like white noise. It was just sound. And they're sitting there
talking about it. It was like almost a classical song. It was music.
Okay, well, the point is, Don West is talking about the electricity in the air. This is what we've been waiting for. We're going to find out who Sting's partner is. And Mike Tenay says, you can feel it in the air. This is the moment we've been waiting for. We're going to find out the identity of Sting's partner. And like you say, they just went over it again. Kind of like I'm doing right now.
Over and over and over.
And by the end, I didn't care about the debut. I was not into the moment at all. I was at least laughing at Mike and Don.
So finally, it was Booker T coming in, and Booker T is a special wrestler because when he's unmotivated or he doesn't care about the match, he can have some pretty bad matches. Yeah. And sometimes he just works at the level of his opponents, and of course one of his opponents was Nash. Bad sign. But this was his TNA debut, and he had something to prove, and
he was feeling it.
Shit, was he awesome tonight. He was great, and Kurt Angle's great, and it's always funny with Sting because I learned this after his second title win. Whenever Sting's going to win the belt, he diets down for a full month and he gets a tan. And it's been like, go back and watch the match where he won the title the first time and the match where he won the title the second time. He's in unbelievable shape for a 49-year-old man and tanner and shit. So, of course, this match he's getting pinned, in fact. So he came in very white and he came in rather flabby.
He came in looking like a very athletic preacher.
Yes, that's the story with Sting, for those of you wondering, which I would guess is one of the reasons he's not going to be voted into the Hall of Fame, sadly. But so anyway, that was that, and they had a match. Nash cannot do a goddamn thing, and this is in comparison to when he was young and mobile. He can do significantly less now. Can't walk, can't move. Didn't tear a quad.
He did not tear a quad, nor did he. Well, he did actually really botch up taking a spin kick. That was embarrassing to watch, but
they were both at fault there because Booker was out of position.
But I have seen Kevin Nash have worse performances. But watching him move in this match it hurt me. There was a point where he went for a side slam on Booker T, who was 80 pounds lighter than himself or whatever, and watching his knees on the verge of buckling, both of them, was just painful. I was watching this entire match cringing, hope he didn't die.
So we had Booker. It was ungodly over. They were tagging Booker chants. We want Booker chants. Booker T chants. He finally tagged in. Got the heat on him for a while. Then he tagged Sting. Got the heat on Sting. And then Booker got another hot tag and went to the finish. And so anyway, this was about a 2 1/4 star match at this point. And then it's TNA. So let's see what happened. We had everybody in the ring doing spots. We had people falling all over each other. We had Nash dropping elbows on guys with all of his weight. It was a complete mess. Karen hit the ring and jumped up on the apron. And then out came AJ Styles and Tomko. Don't even try thinking about this. Just bear with me. So they were flying all over the place, and the director missed half of it, and Karen was now screaming. Utter chaos. And then out came Charmel. So we got the Charmel-Karen street fight. Nash set up Sting for the power bomb. Everybody was out of position, so Nash had to stand there forever like a complete idiot. Angle finally hit him with the belt. Sting gave Sting the Olympic slam. The ref was missing, so Sting had to lay down for about an hour. And Angle finally found the ref. The ref came in, counted the pin. I have no idea where Booker went.
He just vanished.
The show ended with Angle, Tomko, AJ, and Karen celebrating in the ring. And then Christian came out on the ramp, and he was jealous because his boys were with Angle instead of him. And then they immediately cut away to the video package, and the show went off the air. Shit.
Indeed.
Shit. And Booker T already just another guy.
Oh, yeah, of course. What do you expect? He was just the guy in the middle of this match. But we ask this every month, but do the guys in TNA think people were sitting home saying, boy, that was cool when Karen Angle ran out? I thought that was worth paying money to see. No. That's not what we want to see. We don't want to see Karen... Oh, we don't mind looking at her once in a while, but we don't want to see her in the main event match. And it's the same shit all the time, with the bumps and the run-ins and just the same shit, and I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it.
They completely screwed up yet another great pay-per-view by being TNA, and it just boggles my mind. Boggles my mind. How can you have such a great pay-per-view and end it with such utter shit. Like, I mean, it's in...
And I'm also left wondering...
Hold on a second, I gotta try and get this thought out.
Commence!
I don't understand how you can have a pay-per-view and book a bunch of great matches with clean finishes, and then you write such awful television. And even on that pay-per-view, after all of these great matches with clean finishes, suddenly, like, the main event, you decide you need to book all this shit like it's special. I don't know. It's confusing, and I can't even put into words the frustration that I have with this product. Like, I don't get it. Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking when you write this show, and you somehow get everything right for the most part on the undercard? The stuff that was bad was just, guys couldn't work well together. But how can you book such a great undercard and fuck it up so badly in the main event and think that that's, like, good stuff? To me, it's like, okay, if TNA thinks that what they did in the main event's good, then why don't they book the rest of the show like that? Clearly they must know that there's something good about all this stuff on the undercard. Yet if they know that that's good, why do they do this shit in the main event? I don't understand.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I feel like we've had this conversation every day of my life since I turned 30.
I'm really thinking right now. I really am confused. How can you have two such diametrically opposed things? A great undercard with clean finishes, and then this shit in the main event. How can it both be on the same show? They're so completely opposite in the booking philosophy that it's like, how can one group of people provide such completely opposite things? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask. How can the same booking crew that booked the rest of this show have put this shit together in the main event, and vice versa? How could the people that booked this utter shit of a main event have booked the rest of this great show? I don't have an answer. It is impossible for my brain to fathom.
I don't have an answer either. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of thinking about it. I'm very tired of seeing it. I'm just tired of it all.
So you don't interrupt my whole rant to get that out?
Every time I interrupted, I actually thought you were done.
I hate this. So with all that said,
fuck TNA.
Just for that, I'm not going to recommend this pay-per-view. As great as some of this stuff, I can't do that. Get the pay-per-view, just don't watch this piece of shit main event. And fire this booking crew. Makes me so mad I just want to eat somebody. Literally, today, I would eat a human being. I would eat Vince Russo today.
Would you cook him or would you just have him raw?
I cook him.
Turn him on a spit over an open flame?
I couldn't handle him raw. But I would eat him. And then I'd put you in charge of TNA. That's how much faith I have in you. Or how little faith I have in him. So anyway, guys, that's the report for today. Sorry to end it on a dour note, but this company pisses me off something fierce.
To the back! To the back! Makes no sense whatsoever.
They're calling Hall and Nash the outsiders. I have no idea how they're getting away with that. I don't expect them to for long. We had a promo for tonight's show, the first annual Turkey Bowl. I believe on the preview on the cable dealie, Bob, it just said the Turkey Tournament. It said the Turkey Tournament.
Turkey Tournament.
I hate this show. I'll get into this more in a minute, but have they mentioned the main event for the pay-per-view yet with the firing stipulations? They mentioned that on this show?
I saw the main event, but no, they never mentioned it.
Okay, well, we'll maybe talk about that more next week. But is it the stupidest stipulation you've ever heard of?
It may very well be.
They're going to put a bunch of guys, I believe 15, in a match. And there's going to be boxes where there's going to be, I think, 4 boxes.
And those boxes are going to be on top of poles.
Are they really?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Awesome. All right, so there's poles with boxes on them. And in 3 of the boxes is a
title
tournament, or is a contract for a title match. And in one of the boxes is a pink slip. Yeah. So completely at fucking random, you can either get a title shot or be fired. Who the fuck would be in this match?
I don't know.
It gets better. So they explain the Turkey Bowl.
I have one quick question about the fired or title shot match. So they're going to open all 4 of the boxes. Suppose they open 3 of them, and they're all title shots. So now there's 1 box left, and it's the pink slip. Does everyone fight to get it?
Clearly, they have not thought.
Do you fight to force your opponent's hand in there and pick it up?
Clearly, they have not used their brains, which is
in years.
The entire theme of this show. Which brings us to the Turkey Bowl. Let's explain this. There's three-ways. The first three-way is Abyss, Devon, and Saban. The second three-way is Johnny Devine, Kip James, and Samoa Joe. The third three-way is AJ Christian and Black Machismo. The winner of those matches goes on to the finals, which is a three-way. The winner, they said, gets $25,000. The loser has to put on a chicken suit. How do you have a loser in a tournament? Well, apparently, if you keep winning, and you go all the way to the end, and you basically come in second place, you're the loser.
Correct. I would argue.
What the fuck?
I would argue that you can make an argument that the person being pinned was in fact in third place, but he still did better than 6 other men.
Still, if you've got a winner in a three-way, you've got 2 losers.
That's fair enough.
So shouldn't both people have to squeeze into that chicken suit?
May have worked as well. So yes, this was dumb.
How can you not think? I'm not that smart. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
Are these people that fucking stupid that they don't think about this stuff? That is a perfectly valid question. Why? What about all those guys that lost in the first round?
Shouldn't they have to wear turkey suits?
No. Apparently they're less of a turkey than 2 guys that win and go all the way to the finals and then get beaten. That guy's a bigger turkey.
So yes, Christian and Machismo actually did finish ahead of AJ, who beat them in their match.
Yes.
Because they didn't have to wear a turkey suit.
Nobody thinks in this company. And that is a great question. With 4 boxes, if 3 guys get a title shot first, why would anybody open that 4th box?
Will the match just go on forever? Maybe they'll burn the box so no one has to get it.
You know, there was a moment on this show after the 3-way with Black Machismo where Black Machismo didn't win, and then in the next segment, they were back, they did the show-long deal where Angle was having a Halloween feast, and everybody was invited, and they were all eating turkey. Did I say Halloween? Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving feast, and everybody was heading over there to eat turkey and everything like that. And anyway, in walks Black Machismo immediately after he lost his match.
Seconds. How he got his gear back on and made it back to this dinner, I have no idea.
But he's smiling and he's happy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck are you smiling and happy? You just lost your match. And then it hit me. You don't have to wear the turkey suit.
You're in the clear.
No wonder you're happy.
No harm, no foul.
That actually made sense.
Everything's going well. Yes, the show opened with a promo for the Turkey Bowl. They used the Monday Night Football theme music. I guess that's public domain or something. How they got away with that, I'm not sure. But during
maybe they've just stopped caring.
They may have just stopped caring.
Maybe they just realized nobody watches this.
Including the NFL is not watching their show. So they showed footage of an empty football stadium. They talked about the football people watch on Thanksgiving, and they were comparing their program to football. They noted, we don't need no stinking refs. And then they showed referees being clotheslined and kicked and slammed, and they were basically advertising, we have ref bumps.
Yeah.
That's a selling point for TNA now.
We'll get more into that in a minute. We had the first feast. Kurt and Karen were both dressed as pilgrims. Yes, your world champion dressed as a pilgrim with the belt on. Kira was there, their 4-year-old daughter. Get her the fuck out of this business. They're eating and doing all this crap, and Angle does a prayer, and this whole thing was such wretched television, except for there was one funny line when Kurt said, and I quote, Pac-Man Jones is no longer with us, amen. That made me laugh.
He did thank the Lord for that. That was fine.
The rest of this sucked.
Yes, when the skit is highlighted by Jeremy Borash and Karen Angle looking at each other and showing each other their food in their mouths in an attempt to gross each other out and make us laugh, that's a thumbs down, folks. That's a thumbs down.
Then we had, let's see. Tenay said we had to love the chicken outfits. No, we don't. Devon, Saban, and Abyss in the 3-way. And Black Rain hit the ring. Attacked Abyss. Right there in front of the ref. He didn't care. Rhino hit the ring. Ref didn't care. I thought everybody should just be out in this tournament match.
Much like they were in the Fight for the Right tournament, yes.
Then we had 3 people.
Relic was also out there.
3 new people involved. Devon and Saban ended up in the ring, and then Brother Ray ran in. Ref just looked at him. I have no idea why there are no rules in TNA. It outrages me without fail every time. Saban rolled up Devon for the pin, and the moral of this story is TNA deserves to be canceled.
Fair enough, yes. There was a point here where there were 6 men on the screen fighting, and exactly half of them were not involved in the match at all. Then 4 of them disappeared. That left 2 participants wrestling, and then Brother Ray came out, and now, of the 7 wrestlers in the segment, 4 of them were foreign invaders. Only 3 of them belonged.
No one cared.
No one cared. Saban eventually won, and all I could think was, if you're Bubba Ray, and you're going to come out here and you're going to help Devon win, why would you wait until the end? Why wouldn't you just come out at the very beginning and start beating people up?
Especially if it's no DQ.
Since clearly it's not a DQ.
Why didn't more people run in? Who
You
cares?
should have gotten friends. You should have gotten Devon's black brothers to come out with you.
I hate this show. More with Angle and his family. Roode and Tracy showed up. Storm and Jackie. Chris Harris. He bitched about his directions because that's his new character.
His new gimmick is that he's a whiner, so he said he got crappy directions.
Yeah.
Even though he got there at the exact same time as everybody else.
Eric Young arrived and Kurt made him sit at the kiddie table with his daughter. Remember that, by the way.
I also like that Harris, he walks in and first he complains about the directions, then he says, "What's he doing here?" and points. And I'm thinking, okay, he's upset because there's James Storm, and James Storm wants to try to blind him. No, he was upset that Bobby Roode was there. Are they feuding? Did I miss something? He was upset that Bobby Roode was there. He was okay with Harris or Storm.
I missed it last week.
They put it behind him, but yes, another crappy Thanksgiving segment.
Samoa Joe, Johnny Devine, and Kip James. I left for literally 1 minute, and I returned, and Joe had won. Hell of a tournament.
Yes. You missed nothing. It was fine. A fine 60 seconds of action.
It's so
I don't
funny
know what to say.
that nobody... I mean, Russo has actually stated that the people in TNA are behind the times. Like, they're not, it's 2007 or 2008 or whatever it is he says. He doesn't do anything new. Fucking tournaments? How many tournaments did he run in WCW? There was like a new stupid tournament every week. Now every week in TNA we get a stupid tournament. And we get more shit with polls.
More shit with polls.
Can't you do something new, for fuck's sake? Make something new and stupid. I'm sick of seeing the old stupid shit. Show me something new and stupid. Show me something new that makes no sense.
Oh, I do have something to add about the 60-second match. In that 60-second match, we saw B.G. James interfere twice.
Oh, great.
So there's that.
More X Division geeks arrived at Angle's celebration. Storm and Young had a drinking contest. And as you'll recall, Eric Young was at the K table, so drinking with young Kira. AJ said he had to go. He had to wrestle next. A completely pointless segment.
I also like that P.D. Williams showed up with a protein shake, and everyone else made fun of him. He's the only guy watching his diet there.
Yeah, unacceptable. I did that in many a Thanksgiving till I smartened up. AJ Styles and Black Machismo. It's supposed to be Christian as well, but he never came out, so they started without him. And I was sitting here watching this, and I thought, all right, so Joe is advanced, and Chris Sabin is advanced. All right, so of the remaining 3, AJ, Black Machismo, and Christian, who is most likely to wear a chicken suit here? Why? AJ! So, sure as shit, AJ wins with the best finish I've ever seen. Christian eventually came back out. He's wrestling. He hits the unprettier on Jay Lethal, who's your X Division champion, and again, just a fucking geek. And he hits this move, and then AJ Styles does a springboard big splash for the pin. They then proceed to explain to us that AJ Styles accidentally pinned Jay Lethal.
That's right.
He accidentally covered him for 3 full seconds. I guess he accidentally leapt high in the air, sprung even higher using the aid of the ropes, and splashed the man, completely by accident. And they are explaining this to us with such passion.
Right.
The announcers. Like they firmly believe that he accidentally pinned this man.
Well, you see, he hit the splash, and then he attempted to tap Christian on the shoulders and say, hey, look, you can pin him.
While covering the man.
Yes, he was not aware that he was actually pinning Jay Lethal's shoulders to the mat. Yes, he accidentally pinned the X Division champion.
Now, we were talking about ECW, and we noted that every segment on the show was bad. Here we are in TNA, and every segment on this show has been stupid.
Yeah.
Just mind-bogglingly stupid. Like, I can't even believe how stupid this stuff is.
Well, there was...
How many times have I done this rant?
Every week now for several years. This is not all the stupidity in this segment alone. First of all, this is just a stupid line, but I'll throw it out there. Don West actually said that the winner of this tournament was going to receive, and I quote, the check for $25,000 in cash. Okay, that's just stupid, and we'll leave it alone. Okay, so AJ and Machismo are wrestling. So Christian's mad at AJ because AJ's teaming with Angle, and AJ didn't mean to offend Christian. He just wants to be friends with Christian. So Christian comes out, and AJ then runs away, and Christian is chasing him. Why?
Let me tell you something. We've talked about this for a while. I missed last week's show. Didn't watch it. And, of course, this show comes, and I literally have no earthly idea what's going on.
Well, to be...
Not even the smidgen of a clue what's going on. I just watched it all and assumed that something had happened last week, which actually made the show easier to watch. It really did.
Yes.
Because normally when I watch it and something happens I don't understand, I get mad. Because I'm like, I watch every show, why don't I get this? This is just easy, because I'm sitting there watching AJ run away from Christian, and I'm just like, well, guess something happened last week and they broke up. Who gives a fuck? But it was amazing to watch this show and not have any idea what was happening anywhere. Just complete. I missed 1 week, and I have absolutely. You think it was? And I missed all of SmackDown and Raw. Do you really think I'm going to watch those shows and not have any idea what's going on?
Why no?
I bet you anything I'll know what's going on. I knew what was going on Raw. I knew what was going on ECW. I'm sure I'll know what's going on SmackDown. But on TNA, I missed a week, and I have to start over again. I've got to completely start over from scratch.
And I can see, by the way, when you say starting TNA from scratch, I can see how that would be a positive.
Yeah. Black Rain showed up at the feast and put a mouse on the food. Comedy, I guess.
It was around here where I started to be happy things were digitized. I didn't have to watch any more of this shit. These segments, they were all wretched. All of them. None of the Thanksgiving skits were any good in any way whatsoever.
For no reason, unless there was a reason I missed last week, Talia Madison is now Velvet Sky, and Angel Williams is now Angelina Love. I have no idea what was wrong with their old names. Perhaps there was great concern that they were going to go to WWE and take and use their real names and become superstars.
That must have been it. And TNA had to use trademark identities. The same reason Awesome Kong has to be amazing and not awesome, or vice versa. I forget. But yes,
God knows the great danger of Talia Madison going to WWE with that persona. That would fucking turn the tide.
For whatever reason, it was deemed these women must be named like porn stars, and so you have Velvet Sky and Angelina Love.
What is it?
Oh, and also,
this is such great comedy when you really think about it. God knows if Talia Madison went to WWE and took that name, and Christ, what would they do?
And turn the business around.
Jesus, God. Wow.
So, yes, ODB was also out there, which means this was another three-way.
Yeah. It looks like they couldn't have one match on the show that wasn't a three-way.
Oh.
I can't even remember who won. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't. ODB won with what I believe was a flying pair of breasts to the face.
A Tez breast.
Yeah, a Lou Thez breast press, yes. She did the spot where she rams her opponent's...
It's a Lou Thez breast.
Fine. But she did the spot where she rams her opponent's head into her own vagina, and then as her opponent was selling, she cupped her own breasts, and then she struck with them.
Wow.
And that's what happened, folks. Don't yell at me. I'm just describing what I have seen.
Awesome Kong arrived for Thanksgiving and ate plastic food. I don't even want to get into this one.
I don't know.
I don't even want to get into it. Triple X did a promo. Daniels did. He said we're all wretched, which I was fucking wretched at this point. Team 3D showed up, and the X Division guys were so angry at them that they threw food at them and walked out.
What badasses P.D. Williams turned out to be.
And then everybody left.
I'm chucking an apple at you and running away.
Everybody left. And then for some reason, at the end of the show, when they went back to the last segment, everybody was just back. I don't know what happened. Digitized everybody.
Yeah, about that, and I don't care.
Samoa Joe, Chris Sabin, AJ Styles, the finals of this latest stupid tournament. It appeared to be a really good match, but I couldn't tell because in this 15-minute match there were at least 5 commercial breaks, which is an average of one every 3 minutes. A lot of stuff happened. It was, again, digitized, and the main problem was the commercial breaks absolutely killing the flow. Ended with Sabin outside. Joe hit the STO and Muscle Buster on AJ for the pin and the supposed $25,000. So after all that work, after winning the match and coming in second, AJ was rewarded with having to put on the jerky suit. And he refused. The referees came out, commanded him to put it on. Blah, blah, blah. And when they came back, was it jerky suit time? No, it was Thanksgiving. Had the last segment with Hall and Nash putting pie in Karen's face, and then everybody had a food fight, and that was the whole payoff.
I will say this food fight blew away the ECW food fight.
I gotta say something else about how stupid the show is and how people don't use their brain. Jim Cornette would have never spent $25,000 in Ohio Valley.
No.
He'd say the winner of this match gets a $50 Applebee's gift card. That's what he'd do. Something where everybody in the crowd's like, I'll bet maybe they really do. Nobody believed that Joe was getting $25,000. That's the first problem. Second problem was he got his check, he held it up, he vanished. We never saw him again. Woohoo! You won $25,000. You don't care? We don't care. Number 3, listen. He won $25,000 a storyline. Do you think we're ever going to hear about that $25,000 again?
No.
No. I'll bet you $25,000 we don't.
I don't bet that, but I bet you're right.
So, would it have been that hard to, have Saban win, and then the next week him and his partner come out with brand new gear and boots and shit like that? Like they're fucking spending their $25,000? Could you not do something where it means something that they got this victory? Joe's just going to disappear and you'll never hear about it again. It's so stupid. Something so simple. You're going to give a guy $25,000, so who in the company could you turn into a storyline where they use their $25,000 and buy something?
That would be the machine guns.
Can't you do that? Of course not.
No, they just give him the check and he walks away.
So stupid. Just a waste of life. Just a waste of my life watching this show every week. So Cornette came out and made him put on the outfit, and then Kurt came out in his pilgrim outfit, and the big joke at the end of the show was Angle said AJ looked stupid. Ha ha!
Oh! And the man in the pilgrim costume said the guy in the turkey suit looked stupid.
And so we're all supposed to laugh, which, of course, what's the comedy here?
He's the world champion!
And he looks stupid!
And he looks stupid.
So dumb. Joe came out with Hall and Nash. Hall looked like he was having fun because he was getting paid. Nash looked like he couldn't believe he was a part of this. They all ended up having a brawl, and the show went off the air. A wretched program.
This was terrible.
A wretched 2 hours of professional wrestling.
We could discuss which was worse, ECW or Impact.
Impact was worse.
Impact was for an hour and 45 minutes worse because
it had the length.
It had the length and the depth. It sunk to a lower depth than ECW did.
I get far more offended by outright stupidity than just things being bad.
Right.
ECW was just bad. This was stupid.
I would concur with that.
In every conceivable way, this was stupid.
Impact did at least have the one good match. That does not make up for the prior hour and 45 minutes of